I paid for everything as her stepdad. Then she chose her real father, so I quietly pulled the tuition, the cars, and my silence changed everything. The last thing I expected to hear at dinner was that I had been upgraded from dad to sponsor. We were halfway through a rare steak I had grilled to perfection, medium rare, as she liked it, when my wife set down her fork with a little clink and said so casually it almost did not register, "Madison has decided she wants to live with her real father just for her last semester. Says she needs a change of environment. There was no build-up. No, we need to talk. No warning flare in the sky. Just a precision missile dropped mid-chill." I did not look up. I focused on slicing a perfect piece like I had not heard her. Like maybe if I did not acknowledge it, the sentence would fold in on itself and disappear into the air like steam. But she kept going, voice syrupy like this was all perfectly reasonable. She thought it would be good, for her mental health, and we support that, do not we? Her tone had that weaponized warmth women use when they are daring you to object. I finally looked at her. Not angry, not confused, just quiet. "The way you look at a stranger who somehow used your toothbrush," she added with a smile so tight it looked stapled on. "You will still help with tuition, right? For stability. She is already registered. I mean, you would not just leave her hanging in her final semester." I wiped my mouth slowly, set the napkin down with deliberate calm, and stood up. "Of course," I said. She seemed relieved, mistook my stillness for agreement. But I was not agreeing. I was pausing like an animal in the wild that hears a twig snap and holds absolutely still, not out of fear calculation. I walked to the garage, grabbed the carry-on bag I kept packed for work trips. The one she hated because I refused to buy a nicer one. "You make enough," she had said more than once, rolling her eyes at its scuffed wheels and peeling zipper tab. I did not slam any doors. I did not shout. I did not ask why they decided this together without me, or when the timeline was cooked up, or what real father even meant to a girl who had not seen the man sober since the Bush administration. Instead, I rolled the suitcase past the dining room where the plate still sat warm, past the little shelf with the framed photo of our last Thanksgiving, me, her, Madison, all smiling, and out into the quiet night. No one followed. They did not think they needed to. She probably assumed I had just gone for a drive to cool off, that I would be back by morning, maybe with flowers or a tuition check, like always. But the moment I backed out of the driveway, I felt something peel off me like old skin. Not pain, just a strange lightness, a vacuum where obligation used to live. I did not know yet what I would do, but I knew what I would not, come crawling back like a man begging to keep his seat at a table where he had already been served the bill. That night, I checked into a dingy business hotel off the interstate, the kind with scratchy towels and the smell of mildew trying to pass itself off as ocean breeze. I dropped my bag on the floor, sat on the edge of the bed, and looked at my phone. There were no messages. I stared at the black screen for a long time. Then I turned it off completely. The motel Wi-Fi was barely functional, kept cutting out every 30 seconds like it needed to catch its breath. I sat at the little round table near the window, plastic chair squeaking under me as I typed in my login, credentials for the college's financial portal. I knew every tab by heart. Years of paying on time will do that to a man. Each semester, log in, confirm tuition, confirm housing, confirm meal plan, auto-pay enabled, card on file ending in 9921. That card had funded more late-night pizza orders and overpriced textbooks than I could count. I hovered over the payment, methods tab for a moment. My cursor flickered on the screen like it was nervous. Then I clicked. First, disable autopay, confirm, yes. Second, remove card on file, confirm, yes. Third, sign out. No message, no email, no farewell. Just the silence of a transaction voided, the soundless unraveling of a lifeline. I closed the laptop, stood up and looked around the room. Beige wallpaper that had not been updated since dial-up internet. A lamp with a crooked shade, a framed print of a sailboat drifting away. Subtle, almost offensive in its symbolism. I picked up my phone and opened my banking app. Lease account for the BMW, paid through end of the month. I tapped into the lease portal. Terminated it early. Penalty fee worth it. Insurance canceled. Not suspended, canceled. I imagined her face when she got the notification. Maybe she would still be sipping rose in the kitchen, waiting for me to come to my senses. Maybe Madison would be upstairs, FaceTiming her real dad, making plans like I was just the help who had overstayed his welcome. But now the help had clocked out. No message, no fight, just cold, silent deletions. I booked a cabin on the northern coast. 3 weeks, no reception with stove, private trail to the beach. It cost less than 1 month of Madison as off-campus housing. The payment cleared instantly. That too was funded by the same man now being written out of the story. I stared at the confirmation screen. "We look forward to hosting you, Mr. Randall." The irony was not lost on me. The only place still glad to have me was a weather-beaten cabin no one had heard of, wedged between cliffs and ocean fog. I powered down my phone and wrapped it in an old t-shirt, tossed it into the bottom of my duffel. I was not running. I was not hiding. I was just done participating in the theater of their life where I got to pay for the production and watch from the hallway. Outside, the highway hummed. Somewhere far down the road, a college girl was probably posting a filtered Instagram story captioned, "New beginnings with my real fam." 2 hearts, folded hands. And somewhere behind that post was a man with a drink in his hand and no idea what a bursar's office even was. They had made their move. Now it was my turn to vanish from the board. Back at the house, the one I had remodeled top to bottom, the one with the custom oak cabinet she insisted we splurge on because Pinterest said. So Carol poured herself a second glass of white and FaceTimed her sister. "Oh, it went better than I thought," she said, laughing. He did not even argue, just stood up and walked out, took his little suitcase like he was heading to a Marriott. She paused for a second, then leaned in like she was about to share a dirty secret. "He will pay. He always does." They laughed. Her sister said something about men being simple creatures and always needing to feel useful. I'm sure they toasted to it. Maybe even imagine me somewhere in a hotel bar crying into my whiskey while wiring another tuition payment like a good little golden retriever. Meanwhile, Madison, our shared blessing, as Carol once called her, was busy uploading a photo in front of her biological father's apartment. A grim little building in a part of town I would not park in after sundown. But she framed it right, cropping out the cracked sidewalk and the guy smoking in a lawn chair by the stairwell. Her caption, "New start. Dizzy. Real roots. Real family. #grateful. #home. In the comments. A flood of heart emojis, proud of you. Finally, real family always wins. 2 hearts. And just like that, I was erased with a single filter and a hashtag. They did not notice the email sitting in Madison's college inbox. Subject line, "Unpaid tuition reminder spring semester." They did not notice the bold red warning on her student portal, blinking gently like a quiet little bomb. Payment overdue, enrollment at risk. Carol had the audacity to take the Mercedes that day, my car technically, to her tennis group and brag that he finally got the message. He knows she needs this. He is smart enough not to rock the boat. Someone asked how I took the news. "Oh, you know, John," she said, too proud to cry, too guilt-ridden to walk away. She did not realize I had not walked away. I had stepped off a sinking ship and left them to argue about seat cushions. They ordered sushi that night. Expensive stuff. Probably figured it was still coming out of the same card I always used, the one I removed 36 hours ago. She posted a photo of tuna tartar and sake. Girls' night with my favorite person. Growing heart. Sushi. #blessed. There was no clue in her grin that she was financially floating on a fantasy. No inkling in Madison's smug little smirk that her scholarship had already been suspended, pending account resolution. No one noticed the silence because they thought silence meant surrender. They mistook calm for weakness, absence for submission. And so they danced at the edge of a cliff, smiling like lottery winners, while the ground beneath them quietly began to crack. The first crack did not come with thunder or drama. It came as a voicemail. "Hi, Madison. This is Karen from the bursar's office. We are just following up about your spring semester tuition. It is currently overdue and showing as unpaid. Please give us a call to resolve this." She played it twice, squinting like the words were in code. Overdue? No, that could not be right. She redialed the number, forced a giggle to lighten the confusion. "Hi. Yeah. I think there has been a mix-up. My dad usually pays that, John Randall. He's probably just late. You know how dads are." Karen paused. Then came the polite but professional tone that signals no sympathy is forthcoming. "According to our records, the payment method on file has been removed. There is currently no valid form of payment attached to your account." Madison blinked. The silence on her end stretched too long. I thought it was automatic. He always..." She caught herself. "I will call him." "Sorry." But she did not. She texted him once. "Hey, can you check the college payment thing?" And got no reply. The message hung there, delivered but unread, like a postcard flung into space. She went to check her student portal. Alert, tuition unpaid. $18,467. Warning, failure to resolve by January 20th will result in automatic disenrollment. She refreshed it 4 times, like maybe the number would shrink if she looked hard enough. Then came the second tremor. She left class early to meet friends for lunch, only to find the BMW gone. Not stolen, just gone. In its place was an empty space with a faint oil stain and a yellow sticker fluttering on the curb. She peeled it off. Vehicle repossessed for lease termination. Please contact service provider. She stood there in disbelief, clutching the sticker like it might tell her something different if she stared longer. A couple of underclassmen walked past and glanced at her like she was in trouble, which she was, but she had not realized it yet. Back in her apartment, she finally pulled up her email, hoping maybe the scholarship office had some grace to offer. Instead, she found this. Dear Madison Randall, due to unresolved financial delinquency, your merit scholarship has been suspended, pending full payment of tuition. You may appeal this decision by contacting our office before January 25th. Her breath caught, not panic yet, not fully, but close. She called her mother, who answered mid-laugh, probably still gossiping over wine with her sister. Mom, something is wrong. The tuition did not go through and my car… Carol cut her off. Sweetheart, relax, he probably just forgot. I will call him. He's not answering? Then call again. You know how he gets when he is sulking. He will come around, he always does. But even as she said it, Carol's voice had a tremor underneath. The kind you try to laugh through when your foot slips on the stairs and you are pretending it did not happen. Madison sat in her room that night, scrolling through her Instagram feed. The same one where she declared her new beginning with real family and wondered how fast a dream can rot when the checkbook disappears. The posts were still there, the captions still glowing with smug certainty, but the lights were flickering. The cracks had formed, and somewhere out there, the man they had pushed out of the frame was watching, calm, quiet, and utterly unreachable. Madison waited until the next morning to call him. Her real dad, the man who had shown up to 3 birthdays in 20 years, and somehow still managed to get a framed photo on her dresser. He answered on the 4th ring, voice groggy and crackling like he was already halfway through a cigarette. Hey kiddo, what is up? She softened her voice. Hey, so there is an issue with tuition, like some kind of mix-up. The college says it is overdue and the scholarship suspended because of it. I thought maybe you and Mom talked, but I guess not. Silence. Then the unmistakable rustle of a lighter flicking. Damn, he exhaled. Did not know he bailed on that. Thought your mom had that covered. Look, I am dealing with some stuff right now. Liquidity is a little tight, you know. Madison blinked. What does that mean? It means I am not flush with cash at the moment, but I will figure something out. How soon? He chuckled. Chuckled like she was asking for a last-minute ride to the airport. Soon as I can, Maddie. I have to move some stuff around. Maybe talk to a guy I know. She hung up before he could finish the sentence. She did not cry. Not yet. Instead, she texted her mom. He does not have the money. You need to fix this. Carol read the message while standing in the wine aisle at Whole Foods. She blinked at it like it was a foreign language, then dropped a bottle of Chardonnay into her cart and walked straight to the customer service desk. She was still calm then, still convinced this was a clerical error. Back home, she logged into the joint account. It was empty, not low, empty. She tried the savings next, blocked, tried the college fund she assumed still existed, frozen. Then she opened the envelope that had come 2 days earlier, but sat unopened on the kitchen counter, an account closure notice from their investment manager. As per her husband's authorization, all funds have been successfully dispersed to private accounts. This concludes our management of the Randall family portfolio. Her hands went numb. The Chardonnay bottle rolled off the counter and shattered. She called the number at the bottom of the letter. It rang 3 times, then disconnected, not even voicemail. Somewhere across the city, a tow truck operator was loading a pearl-white BMW 3 Series onto a flatbed in front of the campus dorms. Students gathered with phones. Whispering, someone said, "Is not that Maddie Randall's?" Someone else snapped a picture. Inside the car on the passenger seat was a copy of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. A gift from me. The bookmark still tucked between pages 142 and 143. Madison arrived seconds too late. She sprinted barefoot from her apartment building in pajama pants and a hoodie, phone in hand, waving like she could undo the steel chains already wrapped around the tires. Wait, that is my car!" The driver did not even look at her. He climbed into the cab, flicked a switch, and pulled away. She stood there stunned, arms hanging limp. No car, no tuition, no scholarship, no answers. Just a screen full of unread messages, a voicemail box full of silence, and a truth creeping in around the edges like a slow tide. There was no real family. There was no fallback. There was only a fantasy held together by one man, his quiet generosity, now withdrawn. And now there was nothing. By Monday morning, Carol had officially lost her composure. She called me 6 times before 10 a.m. Each voicemail more cracked than the last. The first 2 were polite, performative, like she still thought this was all some passive-aggressive phase. Hey John, just checking in. There is a billing issue with Madison's tuition. I am sure it is just a mix-up. Give me a ring when you get a sec, okay? 2 hours later, the tone had changed. John, this is serious. Her enrollment is at risk. You know how hard she has worked. Please do not do this. Just call me. By voicemail 4, her voice trembled. Madison is panicking. We both are. I know you are upset, but you always said she was like your own. You said you would never abandon her. Voicemail 6 was not even coherent, just muffled sobbing. Then the call dropped. Madison, for her part, sent a single text. You always said I was your girl. Why are you doing this? I stared at that message from the cabin porch, watching mist roll off the ocean like smoke from a slow-burning fire. I did not reply, did not need to. The silence was the reply. They were not looking for me because they missed me. They were looking for the man who kept the machinery running, the one who filled the gas tank while they revved the engine in someone else's name. When they realized I was not responding, they drove to my office downtown. Carol had the gall to bring a tray of muffins. Blueberry, my favorite. As if carbs could cancel betrayal. But when the receptionist told her I had cleared out last week, left the keys, vacated the lease, and did not leave a forwarding address, her face apparently went slack. She asked to use the bathroom, locked the door, and sat on the toilet for 15 minutes without moving. Meanwhile, Madison checked my LinkedIn. Last update 6 days ago, stepping away from corporate consulting for personal reflection. She opened my old business email, deactivated. She called the HR department at my firm. I am sorry, they said. John Randall no longer works with us. Best of luck. They were not just confused now, they were afraid. Not of violence. I was never the screaming type, never the doors slammer, never the tantrum kind of man. But they were realizing something far worse. I had not just walked out of the house. I had vanished. No breadcrumbs, no trail, no angry manifesto left on the kitchen counter, just absence, total and clean. No man, no money, no future plan. The man who used to wake up at 5:30 to shovel snow from the driveway before Madison is 7 a.m. classes, gone. The man who used to leave little notes in her laptop bag during finals week that said, "You have got this. I am proud of you always," gone. The man who watched them mock him, then smiled through it because he thought love meant endurance, gone. And for the first time in a very long time, they were forced to see me not as a permanent fixture, but as a man who could choose, like anyone else, to stop being used. They looked for me in all the old places, but they never once looked in the mirror. The call came just after sunrise. I was sitting on the porch of the cabin with a chipped mug of coffee, watching the tide roll in and erase yesterday's footprints. The gulls were screaming over some dead fish carcass down by the rocks, and I was debating whether I cared enough to move. The phone I left on airplane mode all week. I turned it on just long enough to check for emergency work pings. That is when the call came through. Unknown number, Connecticut area code. I let it ring once, twice. I almost declined it, but something told me to listen. I answered with silence. "Mr. Randall?" A voice asked, measured, formal, practiced. "This is Dean Morgan from Hawthorne University. I appreciate you taking the call. I know this is an unusual circumstance." Still, I said nothing. He cleared his throat. "We have been trying to get in contact with you regarding your daughter's tuition account. Madison Randall. There appears to be an outstanding balance of—" "She is not my daughter." Silence on the line. "I am sorry. She is not my daughter," I repeated calm. Even like I was stating the weather. "Well, I understand biologically, of course. But from what we understand, you have been the primary financial sponsor for years. In fact, that was before she decided I was not her family anymore." He paused like he was trying to figure out if this was some legal gray area he should tiptoe around. "Mr. Randall, I do not mean to intrude." "Then do not." The silence that followed was not polite anymore. It was stunned. I could feel him wrestling between his administrator instincts and his human discomfort. Finally, he tried a soft attack. "Look, we are just trying to find a way to keep her enrolled. Perhaps there has been a miscommunication." "There is not," I exhaled. "She made her choice. He can pay for her future now." A long pause. "Then, Mr. Randall, may I suggest—" Click. I set the phone down face first on the table like it had said something foul. The tide had crept up further by then, drowning half the rock I had been staring at all morning. The gulls were gone. Nothing but the sound of surf and the creak of old wood beneath me. It did not feel triumphant, not in the Hollywood way. It felt like cauterizing a wound, a clean burn, necessary, final, somewhere. The dean was probably staring at his phone, blinking, unsure what just happened. Madison might have been pacing her dorm in socks, hoping her backup savior would come through. Carol was likely already drafting another tear-soaked apology laced with just enough manipulation to make it feel like love. But the message had been delivered. Not shouted, not screamed, just said plainly, "I am not your father anymore." And the line had gone dead. The fallout did not begin in the bursar's office or with the car being towed. It started in a dorm room 3 doors down from Madison, is where a girl named Lindsay finally had enough of hearing her complain about daddy issues while borrowing her hairdryer. Lindsay was not a close friend, more of a classmate, an observer, but she had ears, and she had Wi-Fi. And most importantly, she had a petty streak. The post went live around midnight. Imagine this. Girl ditches her stepdad after he pays her way through an Ivy League school, buys her a BMW, and stays up helping her through panic attacks. Now she is broke, dropped from the scholarship and begging the real dad, who does not even answer her calls. Karma is fast. Triangular flag, triangular flag, triangular flag. A few people saw it, laughed, and moved on. But then someone commented, "Wait, are you talking about Madison Randall?" That cracked the dam. Someone else chimed in with a screenshot of Madison now deleted post. New start with real family, dizzy, sparkling heart. Another posted the photo of the BMW mid-repo. The yellow sticker flapping like a flag of surrender. It spiraled from there. By lunchtime it had spread across campus. Then it jumped to Reddit. r/Colonel Drama picked it up under the title, "Stepdad pays for 3.5 years, gets ghosted, stops paying. Daughter shocked when money runs out." The top comment had 22,000 upvotes in under 6 hours. He raised her. She used him. Now she is learning who actually loved her. People began digging deeper. Someone found old photos from her high school graduation. Me in the back row clapping like an idiot, holding the stupid bouquet she said she did not want, but secretly loved. Another unearthed a tweet from Madison's old account. "My stepdad is the most solid man I have ever known. Biological dads are overrated. The internet does not forget, it only waits." Someone commented, "She upgraded her benefactor, then got surprised when the original one closed his wallet." Another, "Imagine replacing a man who showed up every day with a guy who showed up twice a decade." Darwin Award of Emotional Intelligence. Even the girls in her sorority started turning. One of them posted a now deleted Instagram story that said, "When your fairy tale turns into a GoFundMe, the judgment was not gentle. It was not even fair always, but it was loud." Madison stopped going to class. Carol shut down her Facebook after getting bombarded with private messages, ranging from shod and fraud to threats. And through it all, I said nothing, posted nothing, replied to no one. I watched the circus from my cabin window, waves crashing like applause in the distance. It was not revenge I felt. It was not pride, it was clarity. For years I have been the silent investor in a rigged emotional pyramid scheme, and the moment I pulled my support, the whole illusion collapsed. Not because I wanted it to, but because it was never built to stand without me. Now the world was seeing it too, and for the first time in a long, long while, they were not looking at me like the fool. The first message came in at 4:12 a.m. Madison, "I was wrong. I miss you. I need your help." No punctuation, just that flat, quiet desperation, the kind that does not know how to sound sincere anymore because it never had to be. 2 hours later, another came. "Please, I do not have anyone else. I messed up." Then came Carol's turn, a long message, too long. The kind you write when you are not sure where the begging ends and the manipulation begins. It started with soft words. "You were always the strong one. We took you for granted, then eased into the weaponized nostalgia. Remember the weekend trips when she called you dad and meant it? You cannot just throw that away." Funny, I had not. They had. I sat barefoot in the cold sand, the wind sharp enough to sting my ears. The tide was rolling in again, same as it had the first day I arrived. Constant cleansing. The gulls circled and screamed like little winged jurors arguing over a verdict already decided. I opened my phone, not out of curiosity, but to confirm what I already knew. 10 messages, 6 from Madison, 4 from Carol. 1 missed call from a number I did not recognize, probably her sister trying to be the ambassador of whatever shaky peace treaty they were constructing. I opened the first message not to read it, just enough to see the preview, the tone. "I was a child. I did not understand what you really did for me." Of course she was a child, but not too young to pack up her things and announce that her real family was finally stepping up. Not too naive to know how deep the knife would go when she twisted it with that smile and those hashtags. I scrolled through them slowly, deliberately. My thumb hovered over the reply button for a second, just long enough to register the weight of choice. Then, I hit select all, delete, no drama, no rage, just done. I turned the phone back off and slid it under the beach towel beside me. The sun was starting to rise, painting the sky with that burnt orange glow that makes even regret look romantic. But I was not mourning, I was not grieving. I was observing, watching the end of a performance I had unknowingly funded for years. The curtain had fallen, the audience was gone, the actors were broke, and the man they had once directed the spotlight toward was now just a shadow on a quiet coast, unbothered. They thought I had left because I was hurt. Truth was, I stayed too long. I had already grieved the loss the day she smiled and said, "He is not your daughter." Everything after that was just the long, slow burn of exit strategy. And now the door was not just closed. It was sealed, bolted brick by brick with memory as mortar. I let the tide come up and soak the hem of my jeans. Did not flinch. Some things are worth losing, some silences are worth keeping. It took weeks, but eventually even Carol realized the paperwork was not just symbolic. She marched into the financial advisor's office on a Wednesday, heels clicking, that faux confidence armor she wore like perfume. She was ready to charm, demand, and if needed, cry. The house, after all, was still technically ours, as she told her sister the night before. What she did not expect was the advisor flipping open his screen, frowning and tilting it toward her. "Ma'am, you are not on the deed, and neither is he." She blinked. "What do you mean, neither is he? It was moved into a trust, irrevocable months ago." Her smile cracked. "There has to be a mistake. There is not." She tried to breathe, tried to argue, tried to spin some lie about temporary refinancing, tuition deadlines, a family emergency. The advisor just shook his head. No emotion, just policy, just consequence. Outside, she called the number she had not dared touch in weeks. Left a message between gulps of breath. "John, I do not know what you did, but the house, everything, it is not in our name anymore. Please, just call me. We can fix this. We can figure something out. You do not have to be so cruel." Then the sob hit, mid-word, that raw, unfiltered sound people make when they finally understand no one is coming to save them. She left 5 more voicemails that day. Madison tried again too. Just a single line. "Can we talk?" They did not know where I was. I had left no trail, no forwarding address, just digital footprints slowly fading with each passing week. My office lease had been reassigned, my accounts rerouted. The world that once orbited around their convenience had gone dark. And me? I was walking a quiet coastal trail as the sun slipped low behind the cliffs. Jacket zipped halfway, hands in my pockets, the air thick with pine and salt. My phone buzzed once, then again, then silence. I did not look. I did not need to. I knew what the messages would say. Knew the pattern. Guilt, nostalgia, desperation, bargaining. It was the same choreography. Danced too late on a stage already dismantled. I stopped at a bench overlooking the surf, sat down, watched the waves shred themselves against the rocks below. For years I thought strength meant staying, holding it together, covering the cracks with smiles and spreadsheets, making sure everyone else's life ran smooth, even if mine quietly crumbled beneath it. But now I knew better. I did not ruin them. I did not scream or expose or destroy. I simply left. And I let the weight of their own choices drag them into the hole they had been digging while I paid for the shovels. The phone vibrated again. I turned it off, slipped it back in my pocket, and smiled. Small, tired, but real as the wind rolled over the cliffs and carried the last remnants of that life out to sea.